All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We're back, baby.
Hey everybody, what's going on? I hope everyone's weekend has been good.
Mine's been fantastic.
Yeah, and especially because of what we're about to talk about today.
We saw two amazing movies.
Of the same franchise and made by the same person and the same company.
Yeah,
and that is and actually, funny enough, they also both came out this year. They both released this year, and they're both Predator movies. And that's Predator Killer of Killers that launched on Hulu and Disney Plus, because Hulu and Disney Plus are kind of like a thing together due to Disney buying out 20th Century Fox and all this other stuff. I think they just bought Hulu out. Mm-hmm. And we also just watched Predator Badlands this past week.
I like that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the other person who saw it with us, my lovely lady Morgan, she is not here in studio to give her thoughts, so I'll kind of speak for her, but mainly it's just going to be us giving our thoughts on how both those movies turned out, because, again, the movie Prey that launched on Hulu, which I showed you back in my old place in Cleveland, Fletcher,
right,
and the Killer of Killers that we just said, and then Predator Badlands, all directed by the same guy. All made. But then Killer of Killers was in like a stop motion animation style. Like in the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movies, Chicken Run, stuff like that. It was in that's on Night Before Christmas and stuff. And we just want to see how he did with the second movie, the animated one. And then knowing that this one was coming out, we were like, well, we like Predator and it's coming out. Let's go see it, you know?
Who doesn't like Predator? Like, the franchise is so cool.
I would be hard-pressed to see someone that liked Alien and hated Predator. I have not been one person.
No.
Like, now, if some people might, prefer, the style of Alien as opposed to Predator, that's all fine and good, because they're not the same. They're not the same, you know?
No, not at all.
But to see someone say they like Alien, but they hate Predator, I've just have yet to see it. I know people like that exist, but I still have yet to see one. So, but anyway,
I can still remember seeing the original Predator one.
I thought you said it was only two you saw. You actually saw one in theaters?
Yeah. Oh, I saw it. I got the.
Oh yeah, I see
the poster.
that.
We can't put that on camera because I don't.
Copyright, man.
That's all we need right now.
Copyright is like the number one boogeyman of
I'm
YouTube.
sure people
I swear.
would have a problem with that. Correct. But I saw that one in theaters. I remember coming out of there.
That came out in 80, 81, didn't it?
No, that one came out in either 85 or 86.
Because I know 2 came out in 90, wasn't it?
Correct, yeah.
So then
it might even be 87 or 88.
If I may ask, how old were you when that movie came out then? Because you must have been...
No, I was a little kid. I went with my big brother.
We went to see Predator. See that.
And then I saw 2. I did not see 2 in a theater. I saw 1 in a theater. I saw 2 on a DVD or somebody's house. I think it was Jay Johnson's house. I can't remember. I remember we went on a binge. It was crazy.
Okay.
Like Rambo, and then we watched Predator 2 with Danny Glover, which I thought was an excellent. It shocked me. Even as a kid, I was surprised that, because I thought it was going to stink. Arnold wasn't in the movie, but it was actually pretty good.
I think 2 could have almost been as good as 1 was, and I do think 2 is a very good movie. I just think that the city setting really did. I think if it hadn't been for the writing, and it hadn't been for the acting, and it hadn't been for the action, and the tiny little backstory that we got on the Predators, that I think had it not been for the city setting, it could have lived up to 1.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And stuff like that. So,
still a very good movie. 1 is, it's the original, the franchise.
Yeah.
It's Arnold. He's, Billy, get to the chopper.
No. He goes, run! Get to the chopper! Because he was telling the lady to run. He was telling I think it was
Billy.
only him and her at that point.
I just like when he said Billy in the movie, the way he says Billy. The name Billy.
So anyway, let's just get right into it. We'll talk about the Killers movie, give our review on that, and also give our review on this newer installment.
That's the one that surprised me. The animated, I'm not a huge, I wouldn't say a huge fan, but I do enjoy animated
It's not
stuff.
really your normal
It's
film
not
to watch.
my wheelhouse per se, but I saw the movie with you and Morgan. I loved it. I actually liked it a little better. I know we're going to get to that in a couple minutes with Badlands, but I mean, the animated one was fantastic. They basically pieced together like these three interwoven plots of three different individuals, and they sewed it all together so well.
It
was really enjoyable. I was shocked.
It was really good how they did that. I think, and I don't want to. I'm not going to put my criticism there right away. Because I want to start with the good things, which is mostly just. I can't say anything more than it's wonderfully animated. The kills are unbelievable in that one.
The animated one?
Yes,
Killer,
it's absolutely crazy. Like, Predator was already brutal. We all know that. But this
that one
it was crazy. And then on top of that, I think all the characters were good. I think the one from the third segment, which was the war one, I don't know. That one was fine. I think that was just the first two were so good, like the one from the Norse times and the one from the Japanese, the samurai.
The samurai. You had like the
arc.
Viking era, the samurai era,
and then this one was just like, it's
War
military.
II.
It was like World War. Well, hold on. It was
World War
It
II,
would be
yeah.
World War II. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It was good. Again, it was fine. It was unique, and the way the kills were done there was pretty intense. I just think they should have started. I would have probably started off with that one and then end with the other two. But I understand why, if you're looking at it historically, you want to progress with history, not go back in history as you're narrating a story. So the kills were great. The animation was great. The voice acting was phenomenal, and everything. I do have to say my biggest qualm with it. And, people can say, you can imply stuff, whatever. I don't like that they didn't make sense as to how all three of the main characters from each time period managed to coincide in one time. It's like, you got a woman from the Norse time, the Viking era, a man from the very early samurai time. I think it was like, God, it was very early. It was like probably in the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th century. Mm-hmm. And then you have a gentleman from World War II, and they're all together.
They all work together.
And it's like, how is that possible? Do the Predators travel through time and pick them up? Because the whole point of this is they go after people that have killed a Predator, which, if you guys know from previous movies, that is what they do. They always go after people that have killed Predators, and they either say, they commend you, they'll give you something, or in this particular case, they capture you and then they have like a gladiator arena type thing where the strongest will survive, and then they fight the alpha of the Predator clan, or the, as they call it, they said the Yautja. Is that what their species is called? Because that's what the Predators are called. I think it's like Yautja.
Yautja. Y-A-U-T, something like K-A.
T-I-A-T-T-A, something like that. It's
yeah.
very unique.
Yautja.
So, literally, the movie could have been perfect. It's just, I don't like that they didn't make sense as to how did those people survive and then come up to modern times? Did they time travel or what? It just didn't make sense to me. But beyond that, Killers was great. Amazing.
It really was. I enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did, which was shocking to me.
When I saw the trailer for the first time, I didn't know what to I'm like, wow, this is the first time they're coming out with the animated film. But then I saw it was directed by the same person who did Prey, which at that time was probably my second favorite Predator movie of all time. You remember I showed you it back in my house, and you were like, yeah, I haven't heard of this. Like, let's go watch it. It was for my birthday. I was hosting a birthday party
Mm-hmm.
for yours truly, and my other buddy who I came over, Dave. Shout out to you, Dave. You need to come on the pod soon. I know you want to come on, so I'll be sure to get that arranged soon. But he had said, dude, that movie was great. You should put it on. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put it on. So then a couple people like Patrick. And then later on, I think after 50 minutes of the film, Morgan had come in and started watching. And even the hour that she watched, and then you watched it fully, everyone else was like, this movie was awesome. It was really good. And I have to say that, I really am struggling with whether I like Prey or Killer Killers better, because there's uniqueness with Killer Killers, but then Prey, it has a very strong plot about like the Indian tribes, and the predator element was bone chilling. That grizzly bear scene, oh my goodness.
That's a great scene. I know which one you're talking about.
Exactly, where he just
they have their own elements in each way. Yeah,
and who knows? Maybe it's not fair to say that one is the best of the trilogy. Although, unfortunately, after we're done here, I can't tell you what I think is the weakest. Not because it's bad by any means, because I think all three movies were fantastic. But we're going to have to get into why I personally think Badlands is, while great and unique, very unique, I do think is the weakest of the three. If you want to, I took off the conversation. Why don't you give your thoughts on like everything?
Badlands was cool. Badlands was some of the plot, the way it twists, was unexpected. So I enjoyed that. I know what you're saying. In the middle of the movie, I remember right after the movie, I told you, great movie. I mean, we'd probably grade it like an 8 out of 10. It's not a 9. It's not a 10 out of 10, obviously. The middle of the movie, there was a little bit of a lag, kind of, sort of, when Deck, who's the main character, is trying to like basically find his way in pursuit of what was the bad guy's name, or it turned out to not be.
That's Cossack? Cossack?
Yeah, something like that. Kalisk.
That's what it was. It was the Kalisk.
Okay. Yeah.
Because,
it just was a little bit of a kind of, like, there was a little bit of a lull where, he takes he takes Thea. I think her name is Tia. Is that it?
Thea.
Yeah, Thea. Yeah.
No, or was it,
something with a T.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a
because the other one was called Thea, and I don't even remember at this point. She was interesting though. She was played by F.A.N.
Yeah, that character. I mean, there a little bit. It was kind of like it was just okay, but I mean, overall, the movie was enjoyable. It moved at a nice pace from start to finish.
Oh yeah.
The lag was not in terms of the tempo of the movie. The lag was a little bit in the plot. It was kind of like, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it was kind of
like a 10-minute time frame where I was like, I was worried it was going to nosedive, but then it picks back up. It makes up for it a little bit, and it's just a good overall movie. It's enjoyable. That's the purpose of going to a movie, right?
Oh yeah,
it's enjoyable,
and that's what we got. It was a very enjoyable flick.
I mean, was it as impressive? Not in terms of gravity, not like by a huge margin, but I mean, the animated one, I thought it did take liberties in the plot, but I just thought the characters were a little more interesting, and how they wove that together, it made the movie, even though it was animated, it made it slightly more interesting.
And actually, something really quick to bring up with the Killers one, just to circle back a little bit to that. The thing I found one of the things I found very interesting about that one was the second arc, the samurai arc. For most of that arc, there is no talking. They didn't talk until like the last 3 minutes of that segment before they switched over to the next one.
That's true.
And there is something to be said, and I told you about this yesterday. I reverted back to this, and I only remember like 2 scenes from this movie, not because the movie's bad. It's just I watched it when I wasn't even an adult when this movie came out.
Right.
When I watched it,
right.
I referred to The Revenant when Leonardo DiCaprio got an award for the film, even though he taught, but it was like well known when the movie came out that he didn't speak much in that movie.
No, you had mentioned that when we were chatting yesterday.
And I think there's just an interesting narrative to
when
someone doesn't talk so much, but yet the film in some way benefits from that point.
In the Killer movie, the Predator movie, it did benefit, and you're 100% right, because it focused on the fighting, which in that samurai segment or chapter, like the second chapter, the fighting in that particular chapter was amazing. Even though it was animated,
I think it was probably the best.
It was the best of the three.
I think it was, and that's compared to the Viking era, where that one was like really close. It's like a nice edge between those two arcs. I just think the samurai, with the narrative and the visuals, and honestly, just the killing in there was spectacular.
I think they did a good service, like you said, by not over talk. The characters let their actions do.
Yeah, their actions was telling you the story.
Exactly, which doesn't happen a lot in movies. Everything's verbal now because it's easier, like for an actor, or in that case, an animated character, to like just verbalize and tell. But it's nice when you kind of discover by watching something they're not talking. It kind of almost pulls you in deeper. I think that's what you were alluding to. It pulls you into the plot deeper, which is what made that movie really good.
And I think that's the opposite of what happened with Badlands, where there was a lot. That's why I say this movie is very unique, and I think that it stands strong and it stands out from the other movies. Is there's no human in this movie. So the predators are actually talking. Like, at least the predators that you see, they actually speak. They don't speak like us, where they're like, "Hey, go get this item" or something. They speak in their language, like full on dialogue. They're not just like target X, Y, and Z, affirmative, go get them. Like they were like, "Hey, you need to do this. You're just a runt. You're nothing. Whatever." Like, it was very unique. We never really saw a conversation with the predators like this until this one.
Not in past movies.
Not in the past movies. And then Deck, he speaks a lot. And I think while good, I'm not gonna lie, I do think he was the weakest thing about this movie, because and it's not because of the actor, it's not because of the dialogue. I feel like in this length of movie, I don't think they gave him much character development, and I think they tried to shove it all into like the last 20 minutes of the movie. Because most of the movie is, I must find your tool, I'm going to use you, and I must find this. That's literally 70% of the movie. And like, we're going to get into a little spoilers, and I don't want to get into it fully, just to be, charitable. Yeah. Although it has, at the time of this video, it's been over... It's actually going on a week and a half that's been out. But so I like to be courteous to those people. But 70% of the movie, it's him saying, "You're a tool, you're useful, I'm going to use you, and I must find this." Okay. That's him for most of the movie. Now, I'm not saying there aren't points where he strays away from that. But I feel like when he finally starts developing, it's too late to develop him. And I think if his character development was better in there, then it probably could have gone toe to toe with the other two movies. And this isn't the film spawn, I understand why they did this. The movie is PG-13, so now this doesn't mean that they don't cut back on the dismemberments in there. Let me tell you, the kills in there, some of them are like, whew. Like that one creature, if you know what I'm talking about, the slice in half.
It's graphic.
Like, that one's insane.
Super graphic.
But I also respect the fact that they were able to get away with this, because there's no humans in there. So no humans being killed in there. So they were able to get away with a PG-13 rating. Whereas opposed to the first Alien vs. Predator movie was PG-13, but yet humans are still being killed in that one. Don't know, why it took this long to get our first PG-13 Predator film. But I think the characters were good in the film. I think the creatures were pretty well developed. It was also probably one of the funnier Predator movies. Not funny bad like the 2018 Predator film, which I do love. I do love that one. But it was very much trying to, and I'll give credit to Morgan on this one. She said that the problem with 2018, The Predator, was it try to be a comedy. I don't know if you watched that one, Fletcher. It's the one with like Key from Key and Peele, whatever. You have the guy who Thomas, what's his name? The dude who played the Punisher in 2004. That dude was in there.
Thomas Jane.
Yeah, he was in there. Some other actors that
I saw it, but I don't remember it. So there you go. There's your answer. I really don't remember much about it, so that's telling me it really wasn't noteworthy.
Well, you know what the sad thing is the plot of that movie itself. It's actually pretty. The concept is very important. The problem is the comedic elements overshadow that, which is it's about a predator. There actually is he was outcasted, similar to how Deck was.
Right.
Now, but then again, we don't know much about that predator other than he was outcasted. And he was actually trying to warn the humans that the predators were going to start hunting down the human species. Although the plot's going to get silly from this point, they literally want. And I'm saying this as someone who's on the spectrum myself. They really wanted to extract DNA from this autistic kid who was the son of the main character of the movie, because they say that autism is like the next step in evolution or something like that.
Right.
So again, the concept is interesting, but the comedic elements were like if you put Key in that movie, that's it. You already know your movie's not that serious. If you're putting Key in your movie, he's telling the most sexual, inappropriate jokes. Need I say more on that one? Again, I love the movie, but objectively, it's not a great Predator film. But back to Badlands, this movie, for objectively speaking, was more comedic than most of the other movies, but it was for the right reasons. Because we'll just call her Tia, just for the sake of it. We're just going to call her Tia. The droid that Deck partners up with, she adds a lot of humor to the movie.
She's hilarious.
She was hilarious. And then Deck being who he is, and maybe there was a pro to not developing him so quick throughout the film, because he then starts responding to, he didn't know what a wolf was. He didn't know what a tool was. So then when she said, I can be a useful tool, because, she's not a human, so she can literally call herself anything that wouldn't be offensive to her, not that she would know what is offensive. She says, I could be a useful tool, like a tool. And throughout the film, he just calls her tool. Tool, I use you, tool.
It was kind of cool.
So that makes it more humorous. And I think the environments in that film were so interesting. You had these plants that if you got closer to them, their senses would pick up, and if you were hit by the spikes on them, you would get paralyzed. Or this one was my favorite one. Oh, you can't go through the grass because you go through the grass. It's literal glass. You try to go through the glass, you're gonna just be torn apart, shredded to pieces.
It was like a field full of knives.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that right there was the environments were some of the most interesting aspects of this movie. And I think that this movie, again, if they improved on some of the flaws, I think this movie could have really stepped it up. And again, it's a great movie still, and we would recommend you go see it, especially if you're a Predator fan. I do think that there are just some drawbacks to this movie, and I think we all agreed. Actually, Morgan actually disagreed and said that was her second favorite of the trilogy, but she said, and I respect this equally, is she liked how more in depth with the Predators that they went with in this one. And it's if that's your thing, then yeah, there's definitely there's some good reasoning behind why she would say that's her second. We all say our favorite is the Killers one between the three, that the director, he has a really obtuse last name. No offense, Dan. Great work. Sorry, I haven't gotten the chance to fully pronounce your last name properly. But yeah, I think we all agree that Killers is our favorite one. Then Prey, although she thinks Badlands is her second favorite. You and I think both said that. Am I correct in saying that we both think that Prey was second, then Killers is number one or something? Do you still prefer the Prey movie to that?
No, the Prey movie to me was, they're all kind of similar. They're different. in different ways, but they're all kind of similar. They're all solid movies.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if you rate them 1, 2, and 3. It's kind of like a 1A, 1B, 1C. But they're all like secondary to the original.
Yeah.
If you were going to look at the whole franchise, nothing beats the original with Arnold.
And I guess
and I did like the Glover movie, and I thought the second movie was pretty excellent, like especially for what it was. And then you got all of these as a mixture right behind those, not far down the list, but a notch below those two. And they're good movies. They're enjoyable. That's the main thing. Yaucha. That's the main thing I wanted to convey. They're all solid movies. I was shocked by the animated film. Badlands had its good parts. It didn't have necessarily bad parts. It just had okay parts, and it's enjoyable. And Prey is the same way. It has some really excellent parts, and the way it navigates the story surrounding those tribes. But yeah, I don't know. That's the way I would grade them as a whole. And then the other ones that came out in the 2000s or whatever, you had the one that's plural, Predators or whatever.
That one was fantastic.
That was a good movie.
That one was really good. I love the cast of characters that they put in there, and the idea, the mystery behind. I think casting Adrian Brody as the main character was a genius idea. It's kind of like how we like to reference John Wick's consequences voice and whatever. Brody had the. I know it's weird. I don't really say this for most movies. He had the perfect voice for that film. Where if someone's asking, "What's going on?" I think Topher Grace's character asks, and he's like, "We're being hunted." I'm like, that right there, it sets the tone for what the movie is.
Yeah.
It's very mysterious. None of them know why they're there. It's and
Agree.
And I actually do agree that it took a long time for me to get to this point. Probably today. Ignore the barking dog. That sounds like he's dying for some reason.
I cannot win. I can't win. This is what happens. I finally get the heat situation where it's doable, right? Nick's wearing basically an abominable snowman suit, to film a podcast. We're finally somewhat comfortable. We got little what I call buddy heaters on either side of us.
You can't see them.
It's enough. I mean, it's still cold in here. I'll get another heating system for the next episode. But it's really? I can't do a 20-minute podcast without.
Well, it's going on 20.
Without old Yeller dying in the background. Really?
Yeah. I guess good way to conclude this too. Like I was saying earlier before, the dog sounded like he was dying. It took me a long time because I used to try to hold on to the fact that I do think the first Predator movie with Arnold is my favorite one, and I'm not one of those people. I've made this clear on previous episodes. I'll just reinstate my position. Is I don't like to follow the first one came first, so therefore it's the best. I can tell you plenty of movies that surpass the original either by a smidge or by a lot or something like that. And there was a long time where I was like, do I like Predator 1 or do I like Prey better? And do I like Killer of Killers better or something like that? Mm-hmm. And the more I think about it, when I piece everything together and what I look for in at least a Predator movie in particular, I do think Predator 1 was perfect. I think the cast they all coincide together. I think the setting was perfect. The soundtrack I think everything about it was great. And I do miss how simple it was when it was just one Predator. And that was what made it cool. You had all these army men, hardcore, ripped dudes in the military.
Special forces,
yeah. They were special forces, yeah, absolutely. And then you got this guy that, at that time that it came out, no one knows what this being is that's hunting anyone, that hangs people upside down and dismembers and rips people apart. And then you discover just everything about it. And then you realize, oh wow, they have this heat vision detection and all that stuff. It's
that was the coolest part when you find it, when he's doing you got the coloration because of the heat signature of the people, and you're trying to figure out in the movie what the F is going on here. What is watching them? What is hunting them?
Yeah.
And then by the end of the movie, it's so cool. It's so disturbing in a fascinating way, right? And then you got Arnold taking a beating at the end of the movie, like only Arnold could do at that time.
I think that's Arnold's second best role, with his first one being the Terminator, and that's not saying much because you got a guy who's just a badass commando in there. That's kind of a joke referring to his other movie Commando, which I have yet to watch. And then there's Terminator, where I think him and Terminator 2 in particular was quite fantastic. And even in Dark Fate, which everyone hates. I'm sorry, guys, and I know you're gonna jump on me on this one. I actually liked Dark Fate. I think that after the mistakes they made with the previous ones, Dark Fate had to happen. And I'm grateful it failed, because that means we probably won't get any more Terminator films. Let bygones be bygones. Let things just die off and move on to better things. So, but yeah, that's our reviews of the two Predator movies that we watched this past weekend.
It was pretty fantastic. I recommend going and seeing both. I know you do too.
Yeah, Killers is streaming on Hulu and Disney Plus if you guys have either one of those. And obviously, I always recommend. I like every Predator property, even the bad ones like the Predator, for example, and the Alien vs Predator movies they're okay. They're cool.
They're all right.
But they're they're enjoyable, and that's what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Go watch them. And then if you have time, go see this new one that just came out, Badlands. I recommend it, guys.
All right, cool beans. We'll see you next for the next segment. Which are we gonna film now? Yeah.
Yes, we are. We're gonna talk about a little bit of conspiracy theories. Yeah.
We'll dabble with that for a little bit, and then.
Although unfortunately, the conspiracy theories, one of the two that we're gonna talk about will coincide with politics a little bit, and but that'll make things a little interesting.
It's all right. It's okay. I mean, that's bound to happen.
It is.
I'm sure it'll offend the Yaucha that I dated in the past. I think I dated a Predator. She had the same teeth.
Oh, shit.
I don't know. Maybe that's why I didn't stay with her. It was like a dental nightmare.
It probably
was a dental nightmare. I just wanted to save some money.
Alrighty then. We're gonna end
there we
that.
go. There's alrighty then.
All right, guys.
We'll be back in a sec.
See you later. See you in a bit.